Okay, thank you. You're live.
Thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. Lisa Murata here, and welcome to our special meeting of February 10th, 2021. We're going to call the meeting to order and do our Pledge of Allegiance, if you'll kindly join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go right into public comment first. So this portion of the meeting is specifically set aside for comments from the public who are asked to limit their comments to 2 minutes. Any person interested in providing public comment should email publicmeetings@rockyhillct.gov, and you will be provided with a link to attend the Zoom remote meeting and instructions on how you will participate. So I know we have some folks in the queue, which is nice because we don't usually hear from many people. So we are going to begin with, let me go in here. Kristen Capizzo, if you can just state your name and address for the record, and then you have 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm actually Kristen Casparino. I'm registered, my email's registered under my maiden name. I live at 23 Mariana Way.
Okay.
And we've met, as you know, as a neighborhood this week because at all hours of the day and night, we've been experiencing more than normal. I guess it's normal for break-ins to be happening these days, but more than normal, we've had an increase in the last month or so. I know it's been happening everywhere, but in this neighborhood, it's just been more. And looking at our neighbors' cameras, some of the things that we've seen, in general, it's been a small white vehicle. I don't know if that's the case, and I'd like to find out because people should know. This is Michael, my husband.
This is Kristen Casparino. I'm Michael Casparino, not Capizzo. How you guys doing? All right.
But I think it's important that everyone knows that, right now, the way I feel, I'm home with my children all day, and I simply don't feel safe. I have 2 boys who prefer to be outside, and they cannot go outside and play like they used to. We're constantly on alert, making sure our garage is closed, but we're human. And you'll probably hear from one of my neighbors that for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, his garage was open and he was victimized. So, I mean, this can happen even though we're trying to be vigilant. And I'm really concerned because right now it's cars, and now they're coming, and then they're coming after the cars being stolen and gone through with, ransacked. It's now turned into they're walking into our garages more often than previous months. And so what comes next? Are they coming into our homes? And that's the way everyone's thinking. These are happening to our neighbors and friends, and we're scared, or people are frightened. And not only that, victims become angered. And it's just not it's a recipe for disaster. Right, so the warmer temperatures are right around the corner, and we'll be out more often than not. And that means more opportunity to run into these people when they're here, because they are here a lot. So, God forbid someone gets hurt, but people are starting to think they have to defend themselves. And that could turn into a very dangerous situation very quickly. So I understand there are problems at the state level with the juvenile system emboldening the youths out there that are doing this, but and there are also laws that complicates the police department's job. But however, although they face these challenges, we desperately need them to develop a plan to stop this, like today. So, I know there's been a lot of things floated out there, and but it would be great if they could somehow get some expert advice or talk to other towns, find out where these kids are coming from, maybe go to their police departments. Like I say, I'm not an expert, but I've heard things floated like license plate readers. I know they're expensive. In an ideal world, though, if we can stop them from, or at least track them when they're entering our town, you can see when obviously a stolen vehicle is coming to town, and stop them before I have to call, and because I just happen to notice it, or my neighbor, and speaking to that, on more than one occasion, I have called, and I am not always greeted with the most urgent response, and I know it's the way you report it and all, but I'm not the only one. I have heard that from other people as well. Rocky Hill Police Department do a lot of great things, but in talking about these cases, this has been my experience. So I'm looking forward to hear what more can be done.
So
thank you.
Yeah, so Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, thanks for hearing us today. Kristen, great job. I'm sure Guy will go next, or Mr. Nightingale, or whatever works out. One thing on our end here that is very frustrating is that I deal with the police chiefs throughout the state of Connecticut every single day. I work at a bank, deal with robberies. I know what goes on out there. I see it every single day. This is a combination of both, as Kristen just said. This is the state side and this is the town side, okay? There's no doubt about it that from the state side, the state rep, the state senator, Lesser, Kerry, they got to get their aides together and start working on legislation to roll back some of the stuff that's going on the state side right now. But with that being said, our police department cannot roll back and act like they cannot do anything. Okay, that's the concern that I have right now. Dealing with Hartford, dealing with Bridgeport, dealing with Fairfield, dealing with East Hartford, Cromwell, Weathersfield, they are more aggressive. When they see these individuals coming into the neighborhoods, they are more aggressive. Ours are not aggressive. And I don't mean aggressive by force. I mean aggressive in terms of leadership. I mean aggressive in terms of coming up with creative ways to handle things, using technology, switching shifts around, putting out cars, readers, whatever they need to do. And if someone is breaking into somebody's garage or car in their driveway, they take it as a serious break-in or a burglary. And we're hearing excuses that their hands are tied and they can't do anything about it. And I'm very, very, very upset about it. And our neighborhood's upset about it. We're not going to take it anymore. So I'm looking to you guys for leadership here. You guys run the town. I know 80% of you very well. Thanks for all the service that you do. I know the stock options are so great with the jobs that you do. But with that being said, I know it's a volunteer position. You have a constituency to respect. I want you guys to do what's right. Okay. And let's get this done. And Mayor, thank you for scheduling this meeting today. I really appreciate it, but we need to show something here in this town.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to call the next person in line is Mr. Neil Fertuso. I'm not sure if he's here. I don't see all the windows, but if you are here, Neil, and you hear us, just enter that you're here in the chat, and we will circle back to you. Okay. Moving on, we have next Mr. Ryan Nightingale. If you can just state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Thanks, Mayor. My name is Ryan Nightingale. My wife, Lisa, and I and our two kids live at 12 Crow Farm Road. I know a lot's been talked about this, but I hope that you can feel the anger from the residents. This is a crisis. I would hope no one can argue that point. A year ago, I understood. I mean, as things progressed, I understood if I left my car on the road, if I left it unlocked, there was a chance someone could break in. That if I left a key inside of it, could be stolen. I didn't like it. Wasn't comfortable with it, but I understood the risk. And I think the question's always been, why would the thieves stop with cars if they face no resistance? They aren't pursued. There's no ramifications for whatever they do. Why would we possibly think they're going to stop with pocket change in a car. And I think we're dealing with the results of letting that happen over the last few years. They're not stopping with unlocked cars. They're going in our garages. It's not just the open ones. They're forcing their way in. Everyone knew where the situation was headed. If you didn't, you weren't paying attention, or you just simply ignored it. And I'm concerned if we continue down this path, why are the thieves, and they are thieves, why are they going to stop at garages? What's going to stop them from entering an unlocked door, an unlocked window, or eventually a locked door and a locked window? And that's my concern. I think my concerns have progressed over time, but I'm concerned for my family. We have a 6-year-old, we have a 4-year-old, and we moved here from West Hartford for many of the same reasons that people move to Rocky Hill. Safety, good schools, a quiet place to raise your family. And honestly, that does not exist. That does not exist anymore. I think if we continue on this path, it won't exist for a long time. Both my wife and I from Central Connecticut, we are aware that this is not isolated to Rocky Hill. But as the Casperino said, I don't feel like any material actions as a town is being taken to fight this. And that's the most disheartening thing. I think our attitude has been, lock your cars, hope for the best. And I think that worked a year ago to an extent. It's not working now. I would love to be wrong on this, but right now I just don't see it. That's what I see. And we don't have time to address this through resolutions and committees. Those are for the larger state issues that need to be addressed. I completely understand that, but those need to be addressed over time. We need actions today, this minute. I tend to travel for work. I haven't traveled obviously in about 12 months, but I honestly don't know how comfortable I'd feel leaving my family right now. I honestly don't. I would be constantly thinking about what's happening while I'm away. And the only thing I'm sure of, I cannot and will not let my family continue to feel this way or exposed over the long term. I will not allow us to be targets. I know many feel the same way, but we simply aren't safe right now. And that's disappointing, especially for the reasons why we moved here. But I look forward to hearing the ideas and the plans that I think you've heard us, but the plans that the town and obviously the state legislature have to address this, because we need answers. Simply said, we need answers now. But I do appreciate the time, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming out. The next person we have is Mr. Brian Clemens. If you're here, can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Hi, Brian Clemens, 19 Fern Street. I agree with everything I heard so far, that this is definitely a problem, a crisis, not just in our town, but throughout the entire state. I was hoping that either State Senator Lesser or State Rep Woods would be on this meeting also, so they can hear it directly from us. That this is a problem that they need to start addressing at the state level. The laws, especially the juvenile laws, got changed years ago, and they've made it easier for criminals to commit crimes with no penalties. I've worked for the district branch for 26 years. I've seen it firsthand over the last 10, how the courts are handcuffed and dishing out justice for minor crimes that lead to major crimes. I too am concerned that this is going to escalate from little crimes to big crimes, because what's the penalty? Our police can do more, I think, but also laws have limited to what they can do as far as pursuits and whatnot. I really hope that the message gets to State Rep Woods and to Senator Lesser that they need to lead the charge. If they can't lead the charge, and perhaps people need to be in their seats who will lead the charge. But I thank you for scheduling this meeting, and hopefully we can see an immediate change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming out. I have to pull the other list off my, oh, we can do it on chat actually. Okay. Oh, the next person that we have in line is Dejana Petrovich, pardon me. If you can state your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Diana Dalmick. That's also my maiden name. I live at 8 Crow Farm Road, Rocky Hill, next door to Ryan and Lisa Nightingale. I'm surprised not to see a lot more neighbors here because this is really, it's a huge problem. And I hope you guys are really, really taking us serious. I'm going to talk about, I don't want to repeat myself. A lot of people said, similar things, but I'm going to talk about being a victim. Not once, twice, and it was bad. First time, our car was stolen out of the driveway. That was 2 years ago. Second time, a lot of people don't know about this incident, happened on Christmas Day, 3 o'clock in the morning. Everybody knows it now. We were hit hard. My husband left his car outside. He said it was locked. Again, we let our guard down. We went for Christmas Eve to see my parents. We have 3 little ones. We were tired, distracted. He probably left his car unlocked. It's negligence on our end. We feel horrible for doing it. But they opened up our garage door 3 o'clock in the morning, got into my car, literally robbed us, stole over $5,000 worth of stuff. Thank God the doors were locked. So from the house, from the garage inside. Well, long story, we live in a fear every day. I don't let my kids play outside anymore, front yard. They can't ride bicycles in the front yard. We're constantly locking doors, garage, parking everything inside. God forbid you left the garage open for 2 seconds. I'll put my baby in the car and forget something. I have to lock the garage door to get inside. It's just living in fear on a daily basis in Rocky Hill, Connecticut. It's unacceptable. You guys need to do something. And I agree, police, we rely on police. I believe in our police and I want to believe they're protecting us, but we do not feel protected. And we do not feel protected. When they got into our garage, 3 o'clock in the morning, the car wasn't dusted for fingerprints. Why? Oh, they're still minors, right? Why take fingerprints? Why do anything? Okay, they took the report. They left. 2 days later, I called the police station and I said, listen, they took our garage door openers. I'm scared. They're going to come back. They're going to get inside the house. We had to figure out how to reprogram the garage door openers. We were locking the garages from the inside. It's horrible. It's a nightmare. I called the police station. I said, 2 days ago, we had an incident and I don't feel safe. Do you mind sending a little more patrol in this area? And the answer was, we can't have cars everywhere around the town. That's not an answer I wanted to hear. I'm sorry. Yes, you can. And victims are being blamed for leaving their cars open. And I get it, but we're all humans. We make mistakes from going to live freely, right? This neighborhood is beautiful. We have 27 kids. Everybody was always outside. It's not like that anymore. It's a nightmare. If I go next door to Lisa, I make sure I close my garage door while we're in the backyard. Vice versa. It's just constantly living in fear. And I hope you guys really take this seriously because, like Kristen said, we talked about this today. They're minors. It's innocent. But is it really innocent? If they are capable of walking into your garage, how do you know? They must feel comfortable walking into a garage, right? They must feel like they're protected. So they must have something. There was an incident in Hamden, Connecticut, because I grew up in Hamden, 3 days ago. They arrested 4 minors, 3 18-year-olds, 1 17-year-old with guns who robbed the gas station. How do we know they're not armed? So that's just me talking from my heart, I guess, as a victim, expressing my concern. Like we all here, I guess we just came together to say our piece and hopefully we are taken serious. Okay, I hope that you really we'll do something and, make a change somehow. Do you want to say something?
No, that's pretty good. Thank
That's
you.
it.
Okay, thank you both very much. Okay, we're going to move on to our next person. Mr. Dylan Shaw, if you state your name and your address, please.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Dylan Shah. I live on 17 Kroll Farm Road with wife and 2 adult kids, both in medical school. On December 19th, 2020, I had robbers get into our garage, and the garage door was open for some time. And we were just one couple in the house. And when we went out, all 3 cars in the garage had doors open. That's the first time I realized that someone could actually get into the garage. And this was all just 2 months ago. I think we didn't lose anything, just $20 cash or something. But after that, we started keeping the garage doors closed, cars locked. I have a 15-minute notification. If the garage door is open, I get text message. Now I have it, everyone getting a text message. If it's more than, well, I changed it to 3 minutes now. But so we've started taking all good care. However, on Tuesday, February 2nd, a friend visited us. So he was just coming in, and he came in his Maserati, and he parked outside, and I had a client call going. So the garage door was left open. But 5:57, he came in, and we got a notification at 6:12. So within 15 minutes. However, the robbers were in the garage within 3 minutes. So 5:57 is when the garage door opened. 6 o'clock, they were running through the cars and everything. And the doors were locked of the car, and they still opened the Maserati that my friend has outside. And I have that video of all that happening. And I didn't know all this had happened till next morning when a neighbor sent me a video of the activity. And then I kind of got my activity for my video. So yeah, my concern is that the cars are locked, and we're taking good care. I think we need to kind of slow down on victim blaming. I mean, this is quite a bit of care we took, and within 3 minutes they were in. I mean, what's next? I mean, he's going to drive in with me and say, okay, I need to rob your garage when the garage door is open. So yeah, those are, and so the first time when this happened, I had Mark Rudovics, the police officer, come in. In a very indirect way, he was kind of blaming the rules that have taken place in the last 10 years, the catch and release and stuff. The next robbery that happened, we went over to the police station. We were there for good 30, 35 minutes. Nobody was coming in. In fact, my wife was feeling unsafe there. She's like, what if somebody robs us in the police station? Because it was just 2 of us in a block room. When I gave him the zip drive, he didn't have a facility to upload the zip drive. He wanted to keep it. And I had a few more camera actions I was going to give him. So so yeah, my concern is when I emailed the video, they couldn't open it either. So it seems like technologically also there seems to be some ways to go. So again, and a few things I'm concerned is I was told there are 3 police patrolling the town since many years. But the population has gone up in 20 years, and the robberies have escalated since then. So I guess 3 police patrol may not be enough. And they tell me that they cannot follow juveniles, but can't you assume that they were adults while you are chasing them? I mean, again, these are not questions that I probably should be raising. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, so these are all my concerns. I did come out with 7 or 8 possible things we can do to mitigate this, but I even had a security guy come here, look at all I have 6 cameras. What else do I need now is what I'm wondering. And I'm looking at an intelligent camera that would let me speak to somebody as soon as they enter the driveway. Now that's gonna spook even my guests now. I mean, but that's the way I might have to go. So yeah, just concerned with everything, and just doesn't feel like we're doing enough. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw, for participating. And then we will move now to our next speaker, Mr. Pugliese. If you could state your name and address, please. I'm not sure if we have Mr. Pugliese online.
He's on mute.
Are you on mute? We can't hear you.
Yep, he's still on mute.
He's stuck.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank you for your attention and time to the security of our community.
So your
I
name and,
certainly-
just your name and address first, please, sir.
All right,
For
I'm
the
sorry.
record. Thank you.
Tom Puglisi. I'm at 135 Parsonage Street. You know, I feel a large part of our community is living with the fear of being assaulted, robbed, or burglarized. It's by these roaming bands of criminals, people who ride through our community to commit crimes of opportunity. Many of us are seniors who could not easily recover from physically or financially being harmed. And that's either to ourselves or our property. Many in our community are living through the pandemic on limited incomes. We've been stretched to the point where even paying an insurance deductible after a crime could be beyond our abilities. You know, we have a really, really good community here, but this is beyond anything that we should be expected to tolerate. And we need help. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out and participating. I don't have any more people listed on my chat, but I believe there are others who are here on the screen. So I'm going to presume that you've signed up to speak. So I see Mr. Drapeau. I don't have you on the list, but
How can that be?
I don't.
I signed up like 3 times.
Okay. Well, we will let you speak then, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Give us your address.
I just wanted to say I thought my speech was going to be a little bit emotional, but everyone else has really moved me as well as a citizen. It's, I don't want to say it's relieving, but it's comforting to see that everyone's as worried as I am about what's happening in town. So thank you all for your shared comments. I'd like to just say, my name is Guy Drapeau. I live at 11 Mariana Way in Rocky Hill. I have 3 quick things to say. First, I'll just do our story. My wife's car was broken into last year. We called the police. Again, we were a bit negligent. We left her car in the driveway unlocked. Did not leave the keys in it, but we did leave it unlocked, thinking we were relatively safe for one night, but that was a mistake. We showed the police officer who came to the house a very clear video of the person. We took a very detailed video or a very detailed photo and gave it to him. And the officer said to us that there was nothing he could do with either of those pieces of evidence since he was likely a youth. He also told us to keep the cars in the garage and close and lock the doors and keep the garage door closed. That was the advice we received. And while that is good advice in general, it is not what we expected to hear. We were not given any information on the department's plan to curb criminal activity or what they're doing to handle, the current outbreak. Instead, we were given complaints about state laws, which we do concur with, and town police policy. We understand and are very supportive of the police and would welcome more support from this council, financial or otherwise, to assure that the officers have all the tools possible to be successful, in their jobs in town. My second point has to do with when I used to be a counselor. We used to have our state representatives come to council meetings regularly and get them on record to listen to our local issues directly from the council. The council would in turn receive updates on state activity that may benefit our town from those elected individuals at the state level. These days, any movement to modify the laws or ask for financing to help our police would be helpful. And I think that regular updates from the mayor's office on what the state is doing or not doing would be extremely helpful to all of us regular citizens. Third, police policy and resources would seem to me to be the 2 things that we can do right now to help with the rash of burglaries going on in town. And I would urge the council to hire a police consultant to help the department explore and develop new effective policies, and even more importantly, add officers to the 2nd and 3rd shifts. And when I say one, what more, not just one, I think you need to double the staff, at least for a while this is going on. These burglars are getting more aggressive, as everyone has said, and with the passive approach of quote unquote, shooing them away it's just not working. It's not enough. I am frustrated, and I keep hearing about personal liability, state law restrictions, no pursuit rules. Look, we all have personal liability exposure. Perhaps the town can help with insurance and explore legal ways to protect our police officers if they are attacked legally or otherwise. Having creative policing methods, have those been researched or explored to help officers operate more effectively within the current guidelines? If so, it's not enough. We need protection. We're not out looking for trouble. They're coming to us, to our town, to our neighborhoods, and to our homes. We're not out in the streets trying to cause trouble. We're just at home, and they're coming to us. And the police are our first line of defense. Finally, I know that I just have a small rant, and then I'll be on my way. Just a few years ago, grand theft auto was a serious crime. I know all of you people who are, 45 or over. It was a serious crime. We see the blue lights, we get out of the way because the cops are going after those people. Now it's not even enforced. Take whatever you want out of my garage because I left it open for 10 minutes. Whatever happened to trespassing laws? How about burglary laws? Are these laws not going to be enforced anymore? It only counts if it's a home invasion. If that's true, I will tell you this. People are going to figure it out. And we're just going to call and say, I'm having a home invasion. And that's not going to help because it's not true. Or it might be true. We don't know because we're not even talking to these kids. We're not going after them because we don't know if they're armed or not. Anyway, I don't know the answers to these questions, but I think it's time the town's leadership starts to look for some. We all have to play by the rules, but to choose not to play at all or by the rules because they're too restrictive is not an answer either. Thank you for your time and good luck. And I hope we can, hope something good comes out of this meeting.
Okay, thank you. I'm just checking my chat box. Okay, so that concludes the public comment portion of tonight's meeting. And I'm going to go back to my agenda. So we're now going to move on to the discussion part, specifically property crime in Rocky Hill. And I'm just going to, I want to first start off by thanking the council for getting together at 7:30 for a special meeting midweek. But, it is such a unique situation that it probably does require this individualized session rather than just, keeping it continuously on a regular agenda and getting reports, from Deputy Mayor Sharmet. So, we thought it was important to come together tonight, especially because most of us spent the better part of the weekend listening to residents, more and more residents from the town speak out. And, one of the things that I've been saying is that our capacity at the local level is somewhat limited, but that doesn't mean that we can't always look to improve upon what we've been doing to date, right? So there's always better. I think that's a Nike slogan, there's always better. So we need to find what that better is. And I know that, for well over a year, Deputy Mayor Sharmet and I have been out there on the streets trying to figure out and speak with people and educate. And then, as things started to get a little bit worse, we got involved at the municipal level. Things continue to get worse. Now we're involving folks at the state level. So it's this sort of, I would say, three-pronged, three-tiered approach now that we have. And seeing how property crime is multifaceted, we're going to hear that there are many reasons for it, that it's a difficult subject, but it doesn't mean we can't tackle it, right? But it's going to take a three-pronged approach to do that. And so I think tonight is part of that, getting that started. So I want to start out just very quickly. As you guys know, it's not unique to Rocky Hill. So I don't want anyone who's listening to think that, we're in some bizarre situation in a bubble here, because we're not. It's going on all over Connecticut. And so we recognize that. It doesn't minimize what's happening, but it's not unique. So we have been working with sister municipalities and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And let me just give you a little list of things that we've tried, right? So meeting with neighbors to help facilitate neighborhood watches. We had a Lock It or Lose It campaign that we ran over the summer. And speaking with the co-chair of the Public Safety Committee recently, I was told that state lawmakers, they like that. They think that maybe that's going to be, what we need. And they're really looking at instituting a statewide Lock It or Lose It campaign. We do have an increased police presence out there. We are seeking state help, state intervention. So I think, no matter what our feelings are at this point about policies that are out there, I think that we do recognize that we need help, right? So whether we're asking them to change the policies, amend the policies, or provide funding, we need to partner, right? And they know what to do at their level. And if there's a way that they can help us at our level, that's going to be a big win. And we've also invested in body cameras. So the body cameras are going to help our police when they are out there. But I'm going to let Deputy Mayor Sharmat speak a little bit more about what he knows because he is the chair of public safety.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you to everyone who came out tonight and got credentialed and spoke up. We hope that you have a sense that we've been hearing you right along, and we've been hearing you tonight as well. We are not dropping it here. So we all know somebody. If we are not victims ourselves, we all know somebody close to us who's a victim, either a neighbor or a family member or a friend. And I think the crimes are not, we're using the title car theft, but they're breaking into the cars and stealing what's in the cars. It's coming in waves, which is different than in prior years where we saw maybe the same level of car thefts. But right now, what we're experiencing is roving waves where they're targeting a neighborhood. And so we have the 55 and plus community that reached out to us much earlier in the year, giving us video, giving us footage, giving us testimony. And now we have folks in the Mariana Way and Murphy Drive area giving us testimony and video. So it's in numerous neighborhoods, and they've all come in at different times. And we're hearing that from surrounding towns as well, that it comes in waves. Newington had an apartment complex where 100 cars were smashed in one night. I believe our version of that was at Stepney Place. I am not sure of the number of vehicles that had windows smashed out, but they just went from car to car to car to car, smashing out the windows. And that's pretty bold, when you're not worried about it and you take that much time to go through 20 or 30 cars knocking out the windows. Somebody's going to hear it and you're not even worried about running. So we know that it is happening. Some have said that COVID may be a way to idling these young adults and giving them idle hands, and they're getting into trouble. But I might actually argue the reverse. I mean, COVID seemed to tamp down some of our summer car thefts months when the restrictions were the most heaviest on us as a society, as a community. But they picked right back up, and they did spike again later in the year, and now again after the first of the year. We do have shots fired from fleeing vehicles, that maybe car thefts in progress that homeowners came out and interrupted. So what we're beginning to be concerned about is the propensity for violence that is stemming from this, and the additional types of property crime. The mayor goes to lots and lots of meetings at the Cost Association, which is the conference of small towns. It's similar to CCM, which is the conference of larger towns. She attends statewide meetings. I hold the public safety meeting. You're all welcome anytime to. And that's when we have our local chiefs, our fire and our police discuss these issues. John Murphy, I do have the first set of exhibits up. I don't know if you're able to put on the preventing car crimes. So this is a pamphlet that the mayor brought to our attention really just today. And John, if you could kind of slide through that, we're going to make this available. And as the mayor said, this is not just a Rocky Hill thing. It's not just a District 9 thing. It's a statewide thing. And it's actually in multiple states having these similar problems. This is a great resource. And it does show us that we're on the right track in terms of what we're seeing in lists of actionable items that neighborhoods have given us, that we've developed with our police and what have you. So we do have this on record, and we are doing our research outside of our own police and safety professionals. Thank you, John. The next set of slides I'd like to put up, John, when you get a chance, would be the Rocky Hill Police Department. So every month, as Guy Drapo, who said he was a former counselor, he knows that the chiefs give a report, and this is the summary report, and it builds over the year. And it lists out the major categories of calls and activity coming in. And so we can see it month by month, and then we can see a year-end total. And we're kind of getting a bit of a breakdown. It's not highly detailed. There's no names, but we are watching the numbers. The police chief is watching the numbers. His lieutenants are watching the numbers. Next slide, John. Pankaj Prakash sits on this committee with myself, along with John Emanuel. And we've asked for the police chief to begin to put this, maybe it was mid-year, start putting these things into graph form so we could see their relationships to prior years and trending. So we are trying to develop the trending, and that is suggested in that earlier pamphlet. John, the next slide after larcenies. Calls for service. We monitor very closely the amount of calls for service coming in. And finally, John, motor vehicle thefts, motor vehicle accidents. And we are seeing an uptick in speeding and moving violations that go unchecked, right? Because they're racing around our neighborhoods. And so we've had numerous calls. One of the things that police are doing with regards to that are they're stationing the digital speeding signs with a camera mounted on the top, a big camera mounted on the top, saying, hey, we're watching you. And it works for a while. But again, due to kind of the lack of overall non-policing, if you will, the non-ticketing, the non-apprehension statewide, the traffic violations and the speeding are also a problem on our street at a time when this town is trying to move to do a bike path and walking paths and have what we call complete street program that the mayor's working closely with other residents on. And more people are out walking the streets during this pandemic and getting their exercise. So a lot of these things are very interrelated. We do take them very seriously. We are looking at them. And I just know that, we're going to get closer to this. I think other folks will have more to say on different aspects of things that we're tracking, but please know that we are watching this very closely, and that we are pressing on our police. We are pressing on our professionals.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Mayor Sharma. moving along. Counselor Thoreau, do you have any comments or remarks you'd like to make?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to point out, yes, we are listening to the people. Representative Wood and Senator Lesser were participated in the December 21st council meeting that we had. And they also said that they heard the concerns about the juvenile or basically property crimes in general. And I reached out to Representative Wood. She's not able to attend tonight, but but I know she's going to be present at the public safety meeting. I believe she requested to come to that next public safety meeting. She has submitted House Bill 6264, which is to increase some penalties, have some parental and responsible adult penalties as well, and so forth. So she is listening. And there's also another bill that I found. I did some research, and it's 5924, which was submitted by a bunch of people, but one of them, Representative Bello from Weathersfield, again, with having, again, looking at penalties and so forth. So they are looking into these things. I would suggest that people, those of you that are still listening, participate at the public safety meeting on Tuesday, the 16th, I believe it is. I'm not sure what time. 16th. What time? 5
o'clock.
5 o'clock. That people come and state your position there also. And we need these suggestions. The legislators need suggestions from people of what they think would be helpful and so forth to work on this. So we are listening, and we are going to work towards what we can do at the state level and also at the local level to make sure that people feel safer in their homes. We recognize that it's an issue. So thank you for coming out this evening and letting us hear your point.
Thank you, Counselor. I think we will go to Counselor Greenspan. Do you have any comments or remarks this evening?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First, let me just thank everybody for coming out and speaking tonight and sharing your stories. And let me also share, it's not the first stories I've heard. I've had neighbors that have had their cars broken into while in the garage, had contents stolen, including computers. I myself have a car that I don't have a bay for the garage for. So I have a camera on that car. So one car's outside. And I hate to say we run around our house making sure we lock that car every evening. And it's not the way we like to live. So definitely what you're talking about is exactly what we're all dealing with. But that being said, we are somewhat challenged at the local level, as Mayor Murata said. The issues that I think we're seeing are taking place at a larger level, at the state level. And so at the town, we could offer resources to help solve some of these problems as recommended by the police department. But we can't legislate away from the problems that exist at the state level. But what we're able to do, and we did at our December 21st meeting when our Representative Wood and Senator Lesser came, is we asked for help. That's the best step we could take. And as Councilor Thoreau noted, Carrie Wood did put together House Bill 6264. She also noted House Bill 5924. And I too went online and looked up a couple of other bills. Christy Carpino from Cromwell and Portland has House Bill 5362. And I didn't note who the other bill was, but House Bill 5170 are all dealing with personal property crimes, juvenile crimes. So the message is getting to our state representatives. Of course, the issue is they now have to pass something and enforce these rules going forward. None of us really want to wait for that to happen. We'd like to see it happen immediately. So the sooner these things take place, the better for all of us. But if anybody wanted to look at where some of this information is available, it is on the state's website for the Connecticut General Assembly. And I'll give you the website address. It's cga.ct.gov. And you could just search for property crimes, juvenile crimes, motor vehicle crimes, and they'll bring up a list of the different bills that are out there. The State Public Safety and Security Committee will be hearing public testimony at the state level in March. The date has not been set yet, and hopefully we'll be able to provide that through the council, and maybe some of you could participate in those meetings. I mean, hearing personal stories, I think is important, especially when it's people you know, and that is a valuable point. So I think that while we are focused on the local level, we do need help at the state level, and we are trying to obtain that and giving you a couple of bills that have already been written, and hopefully we'll see something passed shortly. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Greenspan. Councillor Duff, would you like to make some remarks?
Yeah, and I echo everybody's comments. Thank you very much for being willing to meet us on a Wednesday night here on a Zoom and share your experiences, some of which are very painful to hear. I did actually speak with Senator Lesser a little bit before this call. I took some notes. He's got a 1 week old, and my kid was squawking, so I think I got most of the gist down. But he'd be able to provide more information. One of the things he mentioned working on was some tools that help them establish multi-town task forces to help municipalities and police departments cooperate when there are, as someone mentioned, roving groups or groups that cross town lines or municipal boundaries. There's some other things that he's working on as well on as a member of the Judiciary Committee. I think it's tough hearing some of the comments. I didn't grow up in town. I moved around a lot when I was growing up with my family. Some of those places I felt safe, some places I didn't. And when I was looking for some place to settle about 15 years ago now, Rocky Hill was one of the places I picked because it seemed safe. And the idea that people don't feel safe in their homes when, I think we all know how hard it is to get up every day, go to work. Maybe you like your job, maybe you don't. Just to put that roof over your head for your family and give a place to feel safe and to have that not be available. That's how we want our town to be like. And it's really a tough situation that hopefully we can get on the path to resolving. I know there's some state level concerns. Those are going to be longer term. Just the way the legislation passed, it could be months. Some of those things take years to get through, depending on what it is. I do think that we can probably do a better job enforcing rules that are on the books. I'm not. Although it's very unfortunate to hear this happened on Mariana and Kroll. I mean, I think if we look at the town, the path that people would take to go from one interstate to another, it's not that much of a surprise. Think of someone going from 15, right onto 160 to France Street, and back on 3 and back out of town. The fact that we have some of these hot routes in our towns, there should be something that we can do to increase presence or monitoring at those places where we think this activity is coming through a couple choke points. Maybe that's something that we can work with our police department to do now. I'm also concerned that we do seem to be making a lot of assumptions. A lot of the focus is on juvenile crime. Maybe this is me because I've now an old guy with 2 kids, but if I see someone, I don't always know if they're 13 or 23. I can't eyeball somebody, especially in the wintertime, when everybody's all bundled up, people wearing masks now. I think just operating on the assumption that it's all juveniles doing this could potentially miss out a big piece. We had an armed robbery in town at the Holiday Inn Express in January of last year. It was a 35-year-old or 35 to 40-year-old man was in the description. A couple miles from my house, there was a break-in at a condo complex. A bunch of them got hit. It was a gentleman from Newington who was in his 30s. We just had somebody who drove into the river, putting a lot of our first responders at risk, who was not a juvenile. So I think by focusing on that part, while it is important, we might be missing some out. And the idea that we wouldn't engage or we throw our hands up because we're making assumptions that it's juveniles doing all of this, I think is missing part of the picture and a little defeatist where maybe we shouldn't. So I'm hoping there that our we've got a nationally accredited police department that's very proud of it. They're proud of their performance. They're part of the fabric of our town. I think they probably don't like hearing any of this either. hopefully they got some ideas of what we can use the pieces that we do have in place while we wait for additional funding to come through, either for local patrol or different state policies. I would certainly like to see that, and focusing on the larger picture as well, because I don't think we want to make assumptions that it's just one group doing these, especially if it's the same houses that are getting hit 15 minutes after a door opens. That means that people are getting in here and out pretty quick. So hopefully there's something that we can do to help monitoring those areas where we do think these are happening, and with the tools that we have in place while we look to help come from elsewhere. And again, thank you for sharing your stories.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Councillor Emmanuel, would you like to comment this evening?
No, I mean, I don't have anything more to add other than what's already been said. I totally concur with what's been said so far.
Thank you. Councillor Malero, would you like to comment this evening? And you're on mute, so you know. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. So absolutely, there is definitely recognition that changes are required at the legislative level, but in parallel, we do need to focus on maintaining the momentum to improve how we as a community simply respond collaboratively. So there is this core of the quintessential neighborhood watch, which has now taken on a paradigm shift that we have now new technology available for us. And the fundamental mechanism to deter criminals is not to give them that chance or offer an opportunity to do what they are intending to do. So if the criminals know that we are truly watching them, for example, through modern age observation, and knowing that we will communicate amongst ourselves instantaneously, allowing the police to be informed more efficiently, I think creates a more effective reaction to mitigate these types of situations. So if criminals knew that all this was happening all the time, maybe less incentivized to take on that risk. So the question now is, what technology can be utilized to help us in these types of situations? What's that vision? And the vision on how to continue to engage and involve the public and partnering closer with our police. So now, personally, on my own curiosity, and I think in public comment there was a note around that, where myself, living in the technology world for about 30 years of my life, I cannot help but look at and do some research around some technologies that are out there. And the one that was mentioned was around LPRs, license plate recognition, for example. Now, if the highways today, the tolls on the highways can take pictures of every license plate that automatically send tickets for those that do not have responders, then why can't we do something similar to where we can strategically have these coming in and out of our towns, which can automatically detect, a car that could be stolen? I know that's something that's been indicated with some of the folks, and also that I know that there are some towns using LPRs to collect data based on their needs, and I think that's something that we need to continue to look at to see how we can synergize. But another possible example is one-way communications. There's these one-way communication applications where we can immediately notify our neighbors, not just next door, but in our surrounding towns instantaneously. Just as when the issue occurs, and having the direct ability to notify the police right then and there. I remember I heard a story around someone witnessing a suspicious van in front of their home, where they did call the police. The police came, and the van was no longer there, and lost the opportunity to understand what was happening with that suspicious situation. Now, if we had the opportunity where we were able to advertise through an organized campaign, point blank, letting the criminals know that we're watching all the time, hopefully this would act as a deterrent and an avoidance for the crime to not be initiated. So I know that our mayor has spoken to other towns exploring collaborative approaches to share these types of resources. But I also believe that we should definitely continue to have discussions with our police department to look at all these options going forward. So thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Councilor Malero. Councilor Levine, would you like to comment this evening?
Yeah, just a few items. Thank you, Mayor. And thanks for everybody for joining us today and the other sessions we've had to hear what you're all going through. We do empathize and sympathize with you. I know those of you who are victims or fearful of being a victim are pretty indifferent, whether it's a juvenile or an adult committing these crimes. The bottom line is they need to be stopped, they need to be caught, they need to be apprehended, and consequences need to be as a result of one way or the other. And we understand that. We've heard in other instances that people are using COVID as an excuse for an increase in incidents, and quite frankly, COVID's not an excuse, and there's nowhere to where COVID's a free pass to commit crime. So we're not taking that as an excuse, and we don't agree that that should be part of the equation, to be honest. We are looking into hopefully getting more state funding for some of these programs from Representative Wood and others. She indicated she can hopefully bring more money into our town for resources for things such as the cameras, the license plate reader cameras, and maybe cameras in neighborhoods as well, and signage and things of that nature. So we're hoping that's a quicker type of solution than some of the legislative issues that need to be tackled. Hopefully that's something we don't sooner than later. And as others have said, I know folks in town are looking to partner with our other towns in a more collaborative effort to share information as they hear of crimes being committed in an effort to try to catch these people or at least prevent it from happening. So hopefully that cooperation continues and continues to foster. So that's what I have for tonight, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Levine. And then there was one. Councilor Prakash, would you like to comment?
Yeah, absolutely, Mayor. So thank you everyone for being here, adding your voice to this conversation. And I'm not going to repeat a lot of things which have actually resonated with me already, right? So a lot of these issues of why it is happening, who is doing it, what are the stats, it has been pretty much well debated, and I think some of that stuff is probably can be put to rest. What we know here is that we have a problem, and we have a huge problem, right? And some of this stuff I can completely relate to, because I actually am on a WhatsApp group for my street. I live on 82 Andover Drive, and we have a WhatsApp group which kind of communicates, right? And so I see these. I have a Ring camera. I have like 5 cameras outside. So this is all very relatable to me, and nobody has to live like that. I think some of the comments earlier, from the people in the public and who have joined us today, those are really kind of disheartening, right? I mean, if your kids can't go out and play and you're watching your garage door all the time, that's no way to live. I mean, that's the bottom line. We can debate stats. I'm a statistician, but I can look at numbers. I can debate them all day. But here the problem is it's affecting us every day, how we live. So I'm not gonna go into that. We can talk about. So I'm gonna make 2 more points on this. The second point I wanted to make is Deputy Mayor Sharma, who leads the Public Safety Committee here, right? And I sit on it with Councilor Emanuel. We have done a lot of work on this over the last year. If you go and look at the recordings of those meetings, we have been bringing this up consistently, right? Especially in the last quarter of 2020, right? And we have been looking at all kinds of data, which the Deputy Mayor shared with us, right? And again, it's all good. It's all in good faith. We talk to the chief every month, and I can tell you, the chief has been a very, very, very willing partner with us, has been working with us, has been very proactive, has responded to our requests, and has been willing to take suggestions, right? And so I will say that the chief Custer has been a very, very supportive party to all of this, right? A very, very active listener and an executioner, right? But, and here's the however, which is coming to my third point. I think we have to get a little bit creative with this, right? I think the resources, looking at the state reps, all those are like obviously parallel solutions, and they should all be pursued, obviously, right? I mean, stating the obvious. But I think we need to get creative a little bit about like how we actually use our police force which exists today, right? And I think there was a comment made by, I think, somebody in the audience here. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but it was about how can we be creative with the patrol, right? And I think there are ways to get creative with our existing resources on the police force. And I'm going to make my mission with the deputy mayor here and Councilor Emanuel on the committee to explore those options, to get creative with the force we got right now. For example, moving patrolmen around from first shift to the third shift or whatever it takes. I'm not a police professional, but Chief Custer is, and I'm sure he can help us out with that. So I'm going to take it a mission. I'm going to make it my mission, and I'm sure like Deputy Mayor is going to support this, to explore these options which are more creative and out of the box. Still staying within the norms and the rules we need to follow, staying under the guidelines, under the guardrails, but I think it's time to get creative. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to repeat a lot of things which have been said, like I said, but you can count on it. I'm going to make it my mission to do this and work with our police chief and make this work and find some solutions for our community here. Which again, I think we all feel the same way. We should not have to live like this, and I think it's about time that we do something about this.
Thank you, Councilor Prakash. And so I think we're gonna call it a night. We had a lot of wonderful feedback from everyone, and again, that's really important for us as a council. It's important for our departments. It's important for our state reps and our senators who I know have been listening. And I don't know, our town manager is on because he has to be, but John, I don't know if you want to say anything or you want to wrap up.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully you can hear me. I think I unmuted myself. Thank everybody for coming to this 7:30 meeting. It's one of our later starting meetings, and this was well attended, and providing their stories and sharing their experience and so on. And not to repeat everything else that's been said, I will be talking with the police chief tomorrow and try to start brainstorming some maybe some initial short-term changes we could be making to try to deter these people from coming to Rocky Hill, exploring our residents' garages and so on. So again, thank everyone for attending, and I'll be short-winded because it is getting late. Thank you.
Thanks, John. All right, everyone. Thanks.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I forgot one important stat, and I just have to slip this one in before the night closes. I have been told that since, and not to make it about state legislation all the time, but since the Police Accountability Act, highway traffic and local traffic violations have stops has dropped by 80%. That is a statistic recognized at the highest level in the state. Stops and arrests and violation summons issued dropped 80%.
No, that's not good. So maybe we will end on that negative note. we were in a positive way, but okay, yeah. So I mean, there's obviously that just points out that there's a lot of things that need to be addressed on every single level. But I think with our three-prong approach and our partnerships, we're going to find the way there. So thanks everyone for joining. Have a good night.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, geez, yes.
Right.
How about that?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thanks, John. Good night.
Thank you.